What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Refinement. Today's episode, we're going to talk about preparing for 2023. I think that it's going to be a massively good year, with a couple of caveats. I do think that it's going to be somewhat of a recession, so people are going to have less spending money. So we are going to have to sell more things to make less money per unit of effort. So what that means is like, normally, let's say you sell 10 things for $20. I think next year those same 10 things are going to sell for $18 instead of 20, and there's going to be more expenses. So post office rate's going to go up, rent's going to probably increase, supplies are probably going to get more expensive. So everything's going to get a little more expensive and things are going to sell for a little bit less, but there's going to be more things to resell starting next year, in my opinion, because I'm trying to see a tremendous amount of inventory build up. So I think next year could be one of the biggest years for me, but I'm going to have to sell a lot of things. So I'm really preparing myself mentally for thinking about moving a lot of cotton. Since I'm in the clothing category, I want to sell lots of things. So today there's a Q&A. Let me know in the chat if you guys have any questions, and I'll answer as many questions as I can as we go out. In the morning, we've been working on schedules. And I also realized that from helping a lady this morning, a lot of people don't know how to resell yet. So your schedule is going to be mostly learning how eBay works, or learning how Poshmark works, or learning how whatnot works. Most of your schedule is going to be learning. So in the beginning, it actually makes sense for you to keep a job, because you're not going to be earning very much reselling when you're just starting. I mean, there's people who've been reselling for a long time, they're not earning a lot. So you have to figure out your processes, and then you can make a schedule after you already know how to do it. Like if you come work at a job, there's some processes that are already in place, but if you're just starting, you wouldn't know. Are there already questions?
Yes. A girl on fire asks, "Hi Chris, can I sell my own personal Uggs on eBay?"
Yes. So this is a really good place to start. I would sell everything you own, even your couch, and sit on the floor. Sell everything, because you're an expert at what you paid for your own Uggs. So you know you either got them new or pre-owned. And I made a video talking about pricing, which is masterclass number 4. So you either bought those Uggs brand new from a retailer for full price, or a discount retailer, or secondhand, or from a site like eBay. And so you kind of have an idea of what you paid for, and you were the customer originally. So now you have an idea of figuring out what those Ugg boots are worth now, and what kind of condition are they in, flaws. You wore them. You can say the left one has a little bit of coffee, because I dropped coffee on Tuesday with my friend Mark. Like, you could put those details in it because you actually know. Some people put silly stuff like walked 3 miles in them, but how do you verify that? So leave those kind of details off. But the best condition, the best advice I can give you is to accurately describe the item the best you can to the best of your ability. And the more information you can give your buyer, each piece of information you can charge a little bit more.
Mike Camillo asks, "Are you still going to do your Pokemon business next year?"
Maybe. I do have dreams of being a Pokemon trainer, and I like the idea of ordering cards always, but I do need a partner because it's too time consuming. The cards I sent in for grading about a month ago are not going to get done till like February. So it takes a long time for cards to get graded, and I really only want to sell graded product. People were saying, "Oh, it's like gambling." It's not gambling. If you understand the pull rates, it's not gambling. It's just time consuming. So when you buy cards at a really good price, when you open them, the value is worth more than the cards if you grade them, right? But a lot of people don't look at it that way. They're like, they open one box and hope to pull something. That's gambling. I'm not in the process of doing that. Like, I sell thousands of clothing items so that if there's a couple of mistakes here and there, I'm going to be fine. It's the same with Pokemon cards. If I don't pull a really hot card, I'm still pulling lots of base hits, for lack of a better term. Like, I don't even watch baseball, but it makes sense. I don't need home runs. All I need is a base hit every single rip, and I'm going to be fine because those add up.
Melanie Loves Disney says, "I sell mainly on Poshmark and was wondering what steps would you take to push through your inventory if it has been sitting for a while?"
So the basic ways to sell through inventory that's slow is, number one, you want to watch masterclass number 3 and think about all the different components. So it's going to come down to a couple of things. Always the same 2 things for improving sales. So everybody maybe pause the video and write this down. Number one is going to be more traffic. Okay. Number two is higher conversion. So does that make sense, guys? If you have a store and you want to sell things, you want to sell more things, you need more people in your store, and the people that are in your store, you need them to buy more things per visit to your store. So if you were to say 99% off sale, eBay or Poshmark is going to rank you higher when somebody searches low to high. So on Poshmark, the the way that it works is it ranks best match by just shared. So in theory, if you want to sell your items on Poshmark faster and you don't have any money to put new inventory in and your inventory isn't that desirable, what you would do is two things: lower your price and share more often on Poshmark. So share more often so it ranks higher. That means more people in your store. Lower price so more people walk out with something. So you just keep doing that cycle until all your things are gone.
BizNES17 asks, does ignoring messages from buyers have any effect on traffic? I often get buyers sending me messages with lowball offers on listing that I don't have the best offer on, and usually just ignore them.
So I did the math, and it only takes 7 seconds to respond to somebody. So you need to answer every single one of those messages because each time you answer, you get a boost in the algorithm. So you might even say, "Thank you for the lowball offer and the boost in traffic. This is the best I can do. Have a great day." You don't need to troll your customers. I used to do that. So now when people lowball me, I just counter offer what I'm looking for and move on to the next one. Because each time there's an interaction, you get a boost in the algorithm. So if somebody lowballs you all day, it's letting eBay or Poshmark know that that item is popular. They're going to serve it to more people. So you want people lowballing you. You want all the lowball offers because that's going to bring in the person that's going to pay a reasonable price. What you don't want is no offers. No offers means no one cares.
Elio Mora asks, what up, Chris? I want to scale up, but my full time takes up so much time. I'm at 22, want to get up to 40 in the next year. How would you make that possible?
Okay, so this is interesting. Simon in our morning call today has 3 part-time jobs. He has a 18 a day listing habit with 14 sales per day. Very, very good place to be. And he has 2 side gigs, one working for his brother and one working for another local shop. So essentially, he's got 3 20-hour-a-week jobs, right? And he wants to get out of that and just do one eBay. So kind of what happens with this is usually 3 part-time jobs still make less money than one career. So career means that you're really niche down in the one thing. Like if you are a doctor or an accountant or you're a reseller and that's your occupation. If you are a reseller as an occupation, like that's your job title, I would expect you to have multiple suppliers, a couple different categories that you sell in and specialize in, systems set up, ample supply. If that's your job, right? That's your career. If you don't have that set up yet, that's fine. It's just not a career yet. It's just a side gig. A side gig is you go out, you do the best you can, find what you can. Sometimes you go over here, sometimes you go over here. That's not a real career because, like, a doctor is not like randomly going to different offices looking for work. He's not on Craigslist saying, "Do you have any ailments for me to solve?" He's usually working in an office with patients, doing a specific kind of being a doctor, right? So, in order to transition from 22 to 40, it'll become really obvious to you when you have enough stuff, enough supply, and then you decide, okay, you know what? I'm doing 22 a day part time. When I switch to full time, I can do 66 a day, and that's going to obviously pay more than just your 40-hour job normally, depending on what you sell. So the transition, you need to have everything in place, and it should be a really easy transition. It's just that it's hard to transition when you don't have everything in place because you quit your full-time job and some of those 40 hours are not productive, then it doesn't work. You might as well keep your job.
Lucas McCammon asks, do you send offers to watchers once eBay asks you to, or do you wait it out lowering the buy it now price?
I send it out 2 or 3 times a day. So I personally recommend checking your customer service multiple times throughout the day and answering all the questions when you wake up.
Keisha Carter asks, where can I find brand name items in bulk?
That's a good question. So the more that you get into a specific niche, the more you'll be able to find where it comes from. So you always want to ask, where did this come from? In the example of used clothing, most of it comes from people who bought it new and it doesn't fit anymore, so they donate it or they're moving. So it comes from people who buy it new. So direct to the source would be like you start your own thrift store and you say, "Hey, donate your items here, and I'll find them a new home." You could also get them from garage sales, thrift stores, but brand name in bulk just comes from either a consolidator like a thrift store or a charity that gets stuff in. You can go there and find it. Or you can go directly to the source, which is regular people, and create your own service. So buying in bulk is just about taking the time to figure out where things in your area end up going.
Vanessa Sheck asks, did you open a new eBay account?
No, I'm still waiting to have my original eBay account restored. So right now I'm in limbo. I think I will get my account back, but no news yet. You guys will be the first to know.
Matt and Mama's Vegas Adventures says, Chris, I've noticed you have messages turned off on Whatnot. Do you have them turned off to force buyers to Whatnot or for customer service? Question mark.
I personally prefer customer service via email. So when I first transitioned to having like 20,000 items on eBay or 10,000 items plus, or actually 8,000 items, there starts to be a lot of customer service. I transitioned to the way Tech and Sports does it, which is he answers his customer service from his email. So for me, that's much easier because I get 200 questions from all different platforms I'm on every day. It's too hard to check all those individual platforms. I'm like really grateful that Whatnot allows you to turn off DMs so that I wish Instagram did that. Like force you to email me because I can't check Instagram DMs, TikTok DMs, all these different sites every single day. It's nice to just have it all come to my email.
Anthony Zioli says, Hi, Chris. I have a small store. I'm going to be living temporarily in a different location for a month. I am able to bring my inventory with me. Will I be able to ship from a different location?
You can. It's best if you can change the zip code of your entire store to that new location so there's not a zip code mismatch, but it shouldn't hurt you temporarily.
Digital J says, if I use my business address for returns and not the supplier's address, then this will meet the terms and conditions for drop shipping on Amazon and eBay. Is it okay to drop ship from Amazon to eBay?
Technically, no. You should have the item in stock or drop ship from an authorized distributor. So there is authorized drop shipping on eBay, and you can do it. But I recommend, especially when you're just starting, to hold the physical inventory to learn how it works. Drop shipping is not a beginner way to do eBay. It's more advanced. Can you do it? Yes. Can you be successful at it? Yes. Is there ways to do it that don't violate the terms of use? Sure. But it's not an easy way to approach it because item out of stock defects are so detrimental to your account that I wouldn't recommend you start with that. Like most of the successful dropshippers I know have some physical products that they hold so they can get a little bit of traction first and learn how eBay works before they dive in and sell other people's stuff, which sounds sexy, but it's not that easy.
Haley's mom asks, what is your opinion on using Cellhound? I'm a one-person operation.
If you're selling less than 30 items a day, it's easier to do it by yourself. I've used Cellhound for 10,000 items. I've used all the different services, and all of it created a big cluster F in my store. So I wouldn't recommend you use that because you're paying somebody to screw up your store because they're going to be entering in 1 or 2% mistakes every single listing. Over time, that turns into thousands and tens of thousands of mistakes. You're going to have to go back later and correct all those listings to begin or correct all those listings that they entered in incorrectly. And this morning we actually went over that it takes the same amount of time to fix a broken listing as to create a new listing. So you might as well just do it right the first time by yourself and learn how eBay works. And a lot of people never put that 20 hours into learning eBay into it. Like our eBay white papers takes about 10 hours. So if you were to take the eBay white papers in our group for 10 hours, ask questions for 10 hours, you would understand how eBay works. You, if you understood how it works, you would never use a service like List Perfectly or Cellhound because you would understand that when you're paying somebody $2 an hour to $3 an hour to make listings for you, they're not going through it like you would when you took the photos. So it's really, really important to convey what you have to the customer and think about how hard that is if you're not holding it. And you, as a beginner, you really need to be holding the item and entering it in. If you're solo, even more so because you can't afford to go back and do it again. Beginners cannot afford, or if you're solo, to go back and do it again.
AA asks question, what stops potential buyers counteroffering? Basically, I've sent offers out to potential buyers on a particular item based on suggested price by eBay, but no takers yet.
They don't want to pay more. Usually the first offer is the final offer. So be very careful before you counter. If you wanted that offer, take it. In our group, we basically recommend taking every offer. If you're selling used items, almost every offer is profitable. So I would just buy it and churn it over. You are welcome to counter offer, especially if you need a certain margin. Counter offer, just let people know this is the best I can do. If they don't buy, that's okay. Just move on to the next person. It's not worth losing time thinking about. It takes 7 seconds to counter offer, 7 seconds to answer a question. So just counter offer, list another item.
Mick Fernandez has two questions. What do you think about buying Macys liquidations, and what is better, shoes, clothing, or general merchandise?
This is a difficult question. I have 2 pallets at Macys Liquidation next door. It's difficult to sell. You need a large audience to move a little bit. Yesterday, I went to the mall and to check out. I have a friend that opened up a store in the mall, so I went to go check out her new setup. She's 20, so this is cool. Like she's 20 and she's been in the mall now for a while. For like this is her first year in the mall, her first full calendar year in the mall. I went to go look at her setup, and the reason why I bring this up is because I went to Macy's yesterday and there was like thousands of people in the store and they were all buying a couple random things from the store. And I think that's kind of how Macy's works. Like you go in there and kind of look for, oh, I need a belt. Oh, I need a dress for this weekend. So the items that don't sell at Macy's are not necessarily bad. It's just like maybe in that area nobody was looking for evening wear. So you'll get like some awesome brand new stuff from that store in the liquidation palette. But it's hard to sell. Like the MSRP is like $70, but sometimes you're lucky to get 10 on eBay. It's super saturated. I don't know. It's not the easiest to sell Macy's liquidation. It's more like thousands of items at 10 plus shipping, even though they're new. So it's difficult. I recommend mixing in Macy's liquidation with other things, but it's not a very good business model. The company BHFO, they sell only Macy's returns and they sell millions of items. I'm pretty sure they lose money.
Paul Teves asks, have you picked out a baby name yet?
No, I have not picked out a baby name, but I will tell you guys that it's a boy. So it's weird because in the video last or on the weekend, I said something like, I'm really enjoying my first daughter, but it's my only daughter so far. So I don't have a second daughter coming. I have a boy coming next. So I haven't picked out a name yet. But it is weird that I said first daughter. I was gonna re-record it, but it's kind of like I don't know why I said that. Maybe I want 3 kids subliminally, but I think that we're good. I'm already like kind of freaked out that I think it takes at least 18 years to raise a kid. So it seems, if not more. So it kind of seems like a big time investment. And then when I break down what a baby requires, it's like 11 to 14 hours a day. And you can outsource some of it, I guess, childcare. You can have grandma help, but it's still a lot of work. So it's, maybe that is the source of my anxiety a little bit is caring for another little person. But I still feel like I have enough time.
I think we're caught up with questions.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. That was a lot of questions to start with.
Yeah.
Usually we don't. What time is it? It's 10.
Yeah, 10 till.
Nice. So that was a lot of questions to begin with, guys. But I'm pretty excited for next year because I feel like there's a lot of supply. Every time there's a lot of supply, makes reselling really interesting. So a lot of stuff to look through. I'm finding really, really good stuff at the flea market. Yesterday when I went, it was literally pouring rain. It was so freaking miserable, and I was the only person there. Yesterday, actually, we're filming on my phone right now, but like there's a picture of me like freeze. I took a picture of myself. Like nobody is out here looking, but there's so much stuff. So it was raining and like 30 degrees yesterday morning. And there was 8 vendors at the flea market hoping that it would clear up, but it never did. So unfortunately, yesterday the flea market was closed for the public, but good for me. But it was freaking miserable. I was just thinking, man, I would much rather be sleeping right now. But I think sometimes that's what it takes. There's so much stuff out there, and people really do need to move it. So the people that I buy from, I'm like paying their rent, their gas, their grocery bill. Like, I mean, they're out there. They're out there to make money. Imagine you could only sell one time a week or twice a week at a flea market. They need that. They need that cash flow. It's different than us who sell online. Like, if it's raining, I can still list. If it's raining, I can still stream. But that sell in person, when it rains, you're basically out of business.
Girl on Fire does have a question.
Yep.
What is the best way to learn the high demand items? Don't want to start with buying cheap but unwanted items?
That's a good one. Girl on Fire. That's a good strategy. So you don't want to buy cheap stuff or get only sell free stuff in the beginning because you'll get stuck with a big store of items that don't sell. To give you an example, there's a lady I know. She's not in the group, but she has 6,000 items in her store. She gets one sale a day. That is the slowest sell through I've ever seen. It would take literally 500 years for her to sell her inventory. If you do the math, her sell through rate is 500 years. For her to sell 6,000 items in her store, it will take 8 or 9 different lifetimes to get to that point. So all of it is because she got stuff for free. She like told all of her friends, "Give me all of your stuff for free," and then she lists all of it, and she's not an expert in any of it, and it is just a gigantic store of garbage. So if you want to avoid that and learn higher brands, you just need to spend time in the sold section. So when you're in your area, you're going to figure out what sells well in your zip code. And that's what we teach in our group. We use a zip code lookup to find out what is selling in your specific region. And you're going to start looking for those items at those thrift stores. You're going to follow those people on Instagram that are in your area and do a little bit of, not dark magic, but like recon in your area to figure out who is selling what. And then you can figure out what stores they go to eventually. And unfortunately, I mean, you heard it here, but I want you to put them out of business. I like that because like only so many of us can be successful. So like I want you to know all the honey holes in your area, and I want you to be the reason people say I never find anything at the store because of you. So all of you that are listening right now, I want you to have that advantage. Like I'm not as cutthroat as tech. Like if you post a picture on Instagram, he'll know what store you're in, and then you'll never be able to find something there again. So I'm not that cutthroat, but that's maybe what it takes. Because like at Daily Refinement, we want 10,000 winners. I don't know if there's enough room for everybody to kill it at the thrift stores. So if you are ahead of the game and you're out there early and you know the brands and you're looking in your zip code and you know what's regional to your area, you're going to do way better than everybody else.
May A asks, what's your go-to brands for jeans and specific sizes?
I would say go-to brands, Mother. I just texted Holly this morning. Mother, Acne,
Frame.
Frame. Sizes 26 to 30. I'd say are like bread and butter. 26 to 30. Frame, Acne, Mother. Hard to find. I'm only finding one pair probably every 5,000 pairs. So I don't even know if Holly found any today.
I did find
Yeah,
two.
perfect. So two out of thousands of pairs. So it's not that easy. So it takes a while to really look through stuff.
Loving Life Freely asks, do you find that Nordstrom is the same as Macy's?
Nordstrom's a little better, but Nordstrom has a lot of house brands. So I would say that overall, Macy's is really strong. Like Style and Company, Karen Scott. These are just basic brands, household brands. People wear them and buy them. Nordstrom has some weird brands no one has ever heard of, and they just made it up. Every single brand at Macy's, in my opinion, is household. If you walk around Macy's, I just walked around yesterday. I've heard of every single brand.
Didn't they just buy Toys R Us too?
Toys R Us.
Yeah, they bought Toys R Us.
They just bought Toys R Us, which is weird because they've been out of business. But
Yeah.
I saw that at the mall yesterday too. They have a toy section now. But in my opinion, Macy's is like all C or D, and Nordstrom ranges from A to F. And Nordstrom has tons of kids stuff that's straight garbage. So like, it's really hard. Amazingly, I think what happens is they have 400 items at Nordstrom, and they're priced at like $80 for a kid's jumper, and one person buys it, and that allows them to profit, and they can throw away 99% of it. It's so expensive, and no one's ever heard of it. So Nordstrom pallets are really hard. In fact, it became so bad that a lot of the liquidators, they don't even call it Nordstrom's pallets anymore because people think it's garbage. So they just put high-end retailer, but that's Nordstrom. So when you guys see high-end retailer, they're talking about Nordstrom, and Nordstrom pallets have such a high crap rate that it's tough. You're gonna 10 pieces that are awesome and 90 pieces that are average or lower.
Mike Camillo asks, do you believe a lot of resellers will be done with eBay and selling their inventory? Opportunity for the ones of us with money ready in 2023?
Oh my goodness, yes. So many people are giving up. And I think that the TikTokification of everything has made it so people can't learn. It's really hard to learn when you only have 1 minute of attention span, right? So like, it's very difficult to explain eBay in 1 minute. But if you have like a couple of hours, you can really understand. Okay, how does the title work? How does the photos work? How do item specifics work? Because people who say, this is the question, what item specifics matter? Right? People ask that question quite frequently. And the answer is the ones that your customer needs to make a decision. Right? So do you understand? Okay, I'm entering this in so the customer understands what they're buying. You get that? You're going to kill it. You don't understand that? That means that you are I don't want to be rude to goldfish, but they say goldfish have really short attention spans. If you're like that and you can't get past, just tell me which item specifics are important. Like, I can't. Every single item is different. Some items people do need to know. If you're selling t-shirts, enclosure doesn't matter. You don't need to put none. You don't need to put none because on a t-shirt there's no enclosure, right? But on a jacket, a lot of people want to know, is it zipper? Is it button? Is it Velcro? You know what I mean? Like, it depends on what you're selling. So if you can just get past that 1 minute thing, you're gonna definitely kill it.
M. Miller asks, is it best to bundle cheap items to move them or just remove them from your store if they are not selling?
I think if you can bundle it, that's one strategy to get rid of it. Today, out of 100 items I sold this morning, one item I couldn't sell. A pair of H&M jeans, dark wash, size 26. But I'm now remembering, okay, first off, I don't know how H&M got into my show because I don't really sell H&M. I don't resell it because it has such a low value to begin with. H&M sells brand new for similar to like H&M. If you go to the mall, it's like $5 to $20 new. Pre-owned, it's like $1 to $3. Pretty low end, but it's like Forever 21. It's not very good. So I had to bundle that with something awesome in order to move it in the same size. So it depends. Usually it's more like a freebie, but it does add a little bit more value. So lower end items, bundling them is a good idea if you're trying to squeeze a little bit of money out.
Jay LeBlanc Williams asks, any ideas on getting more people into my Whatnot auctions without a big social media following?
So the best way to do it is to have a lot of shows. Right now on Whatnot, there's a lot of people on it. They're doing some really decent marketing right now because there's a lot of new people on Whatnot. So I feel like that's all coming from lots of people upping their game with their inventory. So all you have to do is just run cheap auctions with items that people want. Over time, you'll develop your following. Today I did a pop-up show with 130 people who showed up, and that is from selling. I think I've sold 500,000 things on Whatnot so far. If you count all the lots I've sold, that's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people on Whatnot who've never heard of my social media following. It's just that I always have shows, and the speed is so fast. I'm running 100 items per hour. When I am doing 15-second auction sudden death, I'm actually thinking now of switching my staff to 30-second sudden death because I think that 15 seconds is too short, 20 seconds is too short, 30 seconds might be perfect sudden death, so I might try that this week. But number of items per hour is how you create a whatnot following.
Damien D asks, would a Canon Rebel T3i camera work for taking pictures for eBay?
I mean, any point and shoot camera will work. We recommend the Canon Elf, but that camera will work just fine.
Brian Wiley says, been away for a while. What platform is Chris selling on these days? Did he get accepted back on eBay?
I'm not back on eBay yet, but I am selling on Whatnot right now. So I will be moving some sales to my own website, dailyrefinement.com. But I guess let me know. Let's do a survey right now. Email me at chris@dailyrefinement.com and let me know what goods you're looking for at what quantity. Because I'm curious. Because there's going to be more supply than ever in 2023. So, like, what kind of stuff are you looking to order? Are you looking for 25 items every single week that are shirts? 25 items every week that are pants? Only jackets? Only outerwear? Only gold bars? I don't know what people are looking for, but let me know the quantity. And then obviously, the more you buy and the less picky you are, the more people want to work with you. So like when I go to the flea market and I'm buying stuff, some of the vendors I buy whatever they give me because like they have such good stuff that I'm buying their duds. Like I will buy their duds to get all the good stuff, right? So, for example, today we sold this Madewell or this G Star jacket, which was like $600. I only paid $4 for this from my vendor, right? This is like actually probably $800 retail, and this costs the same as the Champion hoodie that I sold for $6 today, right? So it's like I'm gonna be paying for Champion, which sucks. Like a plain Champion jacket's not worth anything compared to this, but you just gotta buy it all. So let me know, email me and let me know what kind of stuff you're looking for, so I can get a better idea of how to build those manifests for people.
Juggernaut asks, Chris, what do you think of a dollar listing goal instead of a number based goal? For example, if you wanted to make $100 a day, you could just list two $50 items instead of $10 items, etc.
I think that makes you lazy. I think that you set a minimum of $10 profit for each item, and let's say you list 10 a day. And let's say that so that's $100 minimum profit a day. But then one day, one of the items is worth 100. So you just take a day off, and that day you don't do nine more. Just make like set a minimum dollar amount, and then so a bad day is still $100 profit. Okay, this is how I'm going to show it. So let's say I list for 10 days, and I do $100 minimum, right? And 10 items minimum. So that means all the items I'm listing are over $10 profit, but some days there's some home runs in there. That means over time, on a bad day, you make $100 profit, and on a good day, maybe you make $700 profit. But a lot of people, for some reason, they have a good day and they want to take the rest of the week off, and I don't understand that. Like, I literally had a day, like this year, there's been multiple days where I made over $10,000 profit in one day. The next day, I didn't act any different because some days I'm going to be sick. Some days I'm going to have stuff to deal with my family. What about those days? So I need buffer. I also have employees. I can't be paycheck to paycheck. That would be so dangerous. With all these people that are here, I can't be paycheck to paycheck. Imagine that. Like, oh, my boss doesn't have money this week, so there's no work. That doesn't work. Like, you have to be ahead if you want to get ahead, and you have to get ahead by working the same amount and making that extra. You need that extra money, is what I'm trying to say.
Sophia Martha Campos asks, I'm below standard and had 1,150 items listed. Now eBay doesn't allow me to list more and starts taking down my listings. My limit is now 385. Any advice, please?
Yes, I didn't know they do that. Do you guys know that? I didn't know they lowered your limit if you fall below standard. So in this scenario, obviously, what I would do is your new limit is 300. How many?
It was 385.
385. So I guess what I would try to do is get out of that position as soon as possible. So I would end all my listings that are over 385 and then just give away those items and then just make sure I can send that item on time and not get a defect. So like the worst thing that can happen is you fall further below standard. So I would just lower it to 385, give all those items away, and try to get above standard as soon as possible because like they're spanking you right now for being bad, and so you don't want to keep disobeying because you can get suspended actually for being below standard and then getting worse because you're kind of in probation right now. They want to see you doing a good job, so it's time to repair, not grow.
Andre Cano asks, on average, how many listings do I need in my store to go full time?
So if we're using the $10 average and the average person is let's say you're making $10 profit per item and you have a 1% sell through rate. I would say at 1,500 items in your store, selling 15 a day times $10 profit, 7 days a week, that's $1,050 a week profit. And most people in the US can run a household on 1,050 before tax. How that works tax wise usually is you're working 4 weeks a month, and one of those weeks goes to tax. Right, so you have 3 weeks. That's $3,000 after tax to live on. Depending on where you live, $1,000 for rent, $2,000 for the rest of your expenses and savings. That's where you would need to be at typically. Most people though don't learn how eBay works, and they need way more than 1,500 items in order to sell 15. Like the lady I was talking about earlier with 6,000 items that sells one a day, she would need 750,000 items in her store to make a full-time living. Like she would need the minimum a building the size of Costco, and she would need to list something like 3,000 items a day to sell 15 because her sell-through rate is that low, and she doesn't pay attention to how her listings look. This would mean, okay, to give you an idea of what this looks like, title is wrong, photos are bad, item specifics are incorrect, the price is way too high, the return policy is not very favorable, slow shipping, doesn't answer questions actually maybe she just doesn't answer questions at all, and she ignores all offers. That would be the recipe to never selling anything.
Robin Marie Mobley asks, hi Chris, thoughts on eBay's new international shipping?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the same as the global shipping program. Looks the same. Looks like a duck, talks like a duck, still looks the same to me. Remember, there are more buyers outside of the U.S. than inside of the U.S. There are more people who don't speak English than speak English. So not opposed to turning that on. Just be careful, though, because selling internationally requires you to abide by international rules. So, like, a lot of the brands in the US cannot be sold out of the US, especially if they're new. So just be careful and learn about what you sell.
Digital J says, are you allowed to mention who are the approved shippers you can use to trade on Amazon or eBay, or could you point us where to find them?
So I don't know. I'm not holding that as a secret. The distributors that I guess it just takes some research. You need to figure out who's holding inventory for what products. And typically, the main issue is shipping time. So right now we're about to head into the new year. And in January, February is when Chinese New Year happens. So during that time, Chinese people take off like a week or 10 days. And so if you are drop shipping from China and it takes 19 days for somebody to get something, they're going to be really mad. So you just need to be careful on shipping time. Ideally, you would find an authorized distributor locally that you go pick up the item. So I remember watching this e-commerce seller in SoCal, and this is what he would do. He would drive around LA to the warehouse district all day and be like, okay, what do you guys have in stock? Can I get your wholesale list? Here's my LLC. I'm a legit reseller. Here's my website. I'm going to list your items on eBay, Amazon, and my own website. And my website looks really nice. I did the homework. And those companies would be like, okay, here's our list of stuff that you can drop ship from here. And he didn't have any money. So what he did was he had $1,500 he saved up at his day job. And he's like, okay, I think he had two young kids working a full-time job, really wanted to start drop shipping. So went to all the places locally and said, okay, I'm serious. I really want to do this. Got all those lists locally And then when it sold on eBay, he would drive over there, pay for it, and fulfill the order. He had no other way to do it in the beginning. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. It's in person. You physically verify the inventory. One place that I could do locally here, I'm not going to do this, but like there's a lot of beauty wholesale here. Nails, wigs, skin stuff, all local, a lot of beauty supplies. These beauty supplies sell wholesale to hair salons, nail salons. They're in every single city. You could go there and drop ship that stuff and carry no inventory costs. And when it sells, drive there and pick it up. That's a pain in the ass, but that's like a one way of getting started. And let's say you do find a nail polish that's selling 10 times a day. You pick it up. You could slowly build your business that way, but it's a grind.
Will Marin asks, what is the best way to start my education in this business? I registered in the podcast 2 days ago.
Where are they located?
I don't know.
Okay. These are the stages of a reseller, which is different than retail. But for reselling, you start around the house, sell everything you own, including your couch, and sit on the floor. Sell all your goods. Then when you have a little bit of momentum and you kind of get an idea of what to sell, you start at the flea market and garage sales, Craigslist free section. Try to learn how to multiply money. So what we're trying to do here is create money from nothing. So the money makes money model comes down a little bit further down the road, and I'll explain that progression. So you sell stuff for free that you own. All that money is profit. Use that profit to buy stuff locally at flea markets, auctions, thrift stores. Turn that money into more money, and then you start niching down and figuring out, okay, I like to sell these kinds of things versus these kinds of things. I definitely don't want to sell those things. I want to sell these things. As that starts to build momentum, then you figure out how to buy those items in bulk. And then once that happens, you can start building systems to create a sustainable business. But it starts with selling stuff around the house and using that profit to learn other niches. If you skip that and you just start using your own money, it ends up taking a lot longer. From my experience, if I were to start over right now, I'd recommend people start with no money. If you had $1,000, put it in your savings account. Don't use it at all.
Piggy Bank says, I'm looking to buy, Chris. What's your website? Can you put the link in the chat?
It's dailyrefinement.com, but there's currently no inventory. So again, email me at chris@dailyrefinement.com and let me know what kind of stuff you guys are looking for. And I don't have enough time in the day to sell all the stuff that's available, but I'm telling you, in the next year, there's going to be more stuff available for sale than ever.
Andre asked the same question. Are you back on eBay?
Not yet.
Everyone wants to know.
I know. I think when I am, it's going to be the best video ever. So I'm waiting for that $100,000 view or 100,000 view video coming up soon.
Maria asks, can you teach us how to start Amazon store?
Yeah, I can. But even better than me teaching you is Jack in our group teaches Amazon on Fridays. So Jack is a 7-figure seller. I think the largest Amazon seller on Amazon is in our group. He has like 49 employees. He's in the call on Friday. So Thursday and Friday, there's a lot of media sellers on Amazon in our group. So I recommend books to start off with. I sell one book every 2 weeks for the and it's a grind, but again, Amazon has a lot more traffic than eBay, so it's not really reselling though. Unless you sell used books, it's typically retailing. So right now I'm in talks with a couple of people who make brand new products, and I learned something about myself. So last year I found out that it actually might make more sense for me to promote my own companies than to sell other people's products on my YouTube channel. So I kind of realized that I need to be an owner for it to really make sense. Like if I were to sell my own tape gun, Daily Refinement tape and tape gun, if I only own a small percentage of it, it doesn't really make sense because I might as well just use the Amazon affiliate link and get 6% and not do any of the work of running the company. I might just say like, use this tape, I use this tape. I currently use the Tape King. I'm not affiliated with them, but they did actually reach out. So you guys let me know, like, I can't really say like, yo, give me 50% of your company, but I think that's what the best way to gain traction would be, is to get a brand new item, get it on Amazon, and pay influencers to plug it.
Vicky Peel is asking, where is Victor?
Victor has a real job. Victor doesn't work. Victor, I guess if I had extra work on the weekends, I could have Victor and Asidra come in here and work. But we're cruising right now, so don't need that extra work. But Victor and Asidra got regular jobs, so I personally, it's easier to work with people who are more full time than people who work like I'm on Victor's schedule, and I don't really like that. I'd rather he be on my schedule. If that makes sense.
Max is asking, what do you think is a good average time for someone with a good Rolodex would spend in a store searching?
It depends on the store. So when I look at the thrift stores in Florida, and there's some of them that are huge, or Houston or Texas. Here, there's a couple of them like that, and I think they're called Eco Thrift. Have you been there? Those stores are huge.
Yeah, they're
They're like massive. So that store, a expert reseller might be there all day. If you're going to a Goodwill or a Salvation Army, though, it might only take 10 minutes. It depends on what store you're going to. Eco Thrift here is like enormous. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bozo the Clown asks, eBay has moved to 24 pictures for clothing. Is it profitable to take that many angles or close-ups of an item?
I don't think so. I think that 10 to 12 photos is enough. You will rank higher if you take more, but that's going to be more useful on a jacket like this that has like a lot more features and a lot more close-ups and a lot more detail built in. Maybe 24 photos matters, but 24 photos of a tank top's not necessary.
Don Michelle asks, buyer saying didn't get the item when delivery confirmation says it's delivered to mailbox. Buyer opened eBay case and is demanding refund. What would you do?
eBay will automatically close that in your favor. So just upload the tracking when they claim not received. Type in the tracking and it'll automatically close in your favor. You don't need to do anything. So I recommend that you practice good customer service. They probably didn't get it, even though it says tracking delivered. Just from me having a ring, like it seems like 1% of packages are stolen. I'm like not joking. It seems like a tremendous number of packages are stolen. So it's not on you, but I still recommend you practice good customer service and you say, can you check with your neighbor? Can you check across the street? Can you ask your driver? Because sometimes it'll come up. And plus, on my orders, it'll say sometimes throw in the bushes. Like Barbara, in parentheses, throw package in bushes. 123 Main Street, because she's had so many packages stolen that she wants it hidden in the bush. So if you can tell your customer, hey, you know what? Tracking shows delivered. That's all I can do. So I can't issue a refund because it does show by the post office that it's been delivered. Maybe in the future, make sure to have a better process for receiving packages because it may have been stolen. So that's not on you to take care of that. But honestly, I feel like you guys let me know in your area. But here where I live, if you watch Ring, it's just like package stolen again. The guy was following this is what you'll see. Amazon driver pulls up. They walk up. As soon as they drive away, guy comes up and
I've
steals it.
literally watched it
Yeah,
happen
exactly.
in my
That's
own
what
neighborhood.
that's what I mean. So it's
It happens a lot.
rampant. So I've even seen they ring the doorbell and like face to face, owner, thief. Like like they open the door at the same time the thief is at the door. So I mean like it's happening more and more. So I don't know. It's do you guys does your driver ring the doorbell? They don't always ring the doorbell for me.
They don't ring that much.
Yeah, so you don't know.
Razzle Dazzles asks, am I the only one worried about glut? I heard another popular reseller says he was listing 60 and selling 30 a day. All I could think was so much glut. What do people do with all those unsolds? I've never even heard of glut before, but
So glut means is like there's all this extra stuff clogging up all your
oh,
things that don't sell. So as an example, I don't have any glut, right? So items come in and they're sold. The items that I bought on Sunday are sold now and it's Monday, right? So there's no glut. Like there's no items being stored that are going to be sold later. But I do feel like glut allows you to earn more money. I have to give away items to sell them super quickly. If you're asking full market value, it can take 3 to 6 months for your items to marinate to sell. So maybe even up to a year. So I don't really look at it as glut because you're getting more money per item. So you're paying in space and time to get a higher yield, if that makes sense. So Today we sold this G-Star jacket for $71. If I sold it on eBay, I would have asked minimum 179, and I probably could have gotten more money, but not immediately. I need to find somebody who likes G-Star and is willing to pay 150 for a used coat. Right? So it's going to take longer. So I sold it for basically half price now. So the 30 and the 60 is still a comfortable pace usually, because if you're selling 30 items a day and you're making $10 profit per item, that's $300 influx, right? And of the 30 items going into the store, if those cost you $4, that's $120. So does this make sense, guys? You'd be pocketing $180 a day plus entering in 30 more items into your store for a future profit. So for me personally, I don't see that as too much of a glut. It's when you're selling 2 a day and listing 20. That is very dangerous because you're adding 18 items into your store that might take years to sell instead of 3 to 6 months. So depends on your sell-through rate. Can be scary though.
Yo, son, it's Mike says, I have been rewatching your videos of your reseller Nirvana Experiment. How big were you able to get that store to, and most amount of sales in a day for that store?
So for the first month, I had about a 7% daily sell-through rate. So I was listing 10, selling 7, listing 9, selling 8. Like it was like ridiculously fast in the beginning. The store got to around I think 1,100 items, and I was selling 15 a day. So that store I did for like 2.5 months, 74 days, and then I guess the couple main takeaways from that experiment. Perfect inventory system, never lost anything. So in that system, the first thing I did was I got a cardboard box out of the garbage for my inventory system. So it was a moving box with the lid ripped off, and I labeled them inside the box: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inside the box, 11 through 20 on the other side, and it taught me that literally I don't even need to look. I can kind of feel where the item is because it's all in order. And I never lost any items. That's why that store was so successful, because I wasn't wasting any time. Because when your inventory system is one box, like you don't even need to move. It's like you list an item, put it right here, and then it sells. You can just like you're not even moving at all. You can do a 1,000 item store maybe without standing up. If you had your photo system right here and your boxes to the left of you and your printer to the right of you, you could run your whole store in 8 square feet. So I ran that store until about 1,100 items. And when I get my eBay account back, I will do a similar thing in my garage.
Nice. One Love asks, what do you think is available in New York City locally for reselling?
Are you serious? I think 16 million people live in New York City. And I don't think there's something you couldn't find. I think like anything, you could sell literally anything if you live in New York City. I think that you can sell strawberries for $100 a berry. I've seen that. Have you seen that?
Really?
There are these people who like their whole life is just making these amazing fruits, right? And in Manhattan, I think you can buy one strawberry for $100. So that even exists
Does
at
it
that level
taste
there.
like an apple
It
or
tastes
something?
it tastes
Like, what's a
like there's a
champagne
video on YouTube of this guy that goes there and he's like, "Oh my God, this is worth it." Like he's like blown away and says it's worth it.
Wow.
He's like, I can't afford it very often, but like one time in my life, $100 per strawberry is worth it. Because in that market, there's a Wall Street trader that probably has one for lunch every day because like that's reasonable for him. So like anything in New York City, that's like the wildest market ever. You can literally sell anything.
Trina asks, I would like to eventually resell postcards. Where do I find small lots at first?
Postcards is great because it's like such a small inventory system. In our group, Carl does a call specifically on postcards. I think ephemera is hard to find. I think you would have to source at estate sales and garage sales. I don't know if the thrift store is always going to have vintage postcards.
Antique shops.
Antique shops, maybe. Yeah, antique shops, thrift stores. Thrift stores will have sometimes one area of ephemera or weird old documents, but they don't sell very well.
Melanie Loves Disney asks, do you have anyone in your group that teach selling on Poshmark, or is it mainly eBay and Amazon?
Tons of people sell on Poshmark only, and the advice is the same. Just get good at one platform first before you add on a whole bunch of other platforms. So Poshmark is great. I would join, depending on what category you sell in. The shoe call is really strong. So I would recommend the shoe call on Tuesdays. There's a lot of Posh sellers in there because Posh Post is favorable for shoe sellers because 5 pounds ships for a flat rate. So I recommend the shoe call, and then you can just post your closet, and a lot of people will give you a review. And if I can't get back on eBay, then my closet will be the next thing that I do.
Your closet. Bailey's Adventure says, have you even done your own private label? I think you would crush it.
I know. There's this the biggest Amazon seller in the world's in our group, and he already planned my life out for me. He's like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna make your own product, which I can't believe you haven't yet. Sell it to your audience, get a certain amount of traffic, sell it for whatever amount of money, buy a yacht, and then invite me. So that's my life plan already written out, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Um, I've been wondering. Sometimes I walk around here wondering the point of my existence, and that might be it. I think that's it, and I just don't know what it is that I would want to sell to my audience, but that something related to reselling probably, or running your own company.
Paul Teves asks, is there a reason why you're not doing the Q&A on Whatnot anymore?
No, there's not. I'm not organized. I should be doing this on Whatnot. It got huge. There's like 300 people every time I do it. So yeah, I guess I should be doing that. So, dang, what a waste.
Digital J says, I will start by getting a few products from AliExpress, get them delivered to my business address. I think this was the drop shipping. I will deal with the shipping via eBay. If successful, then bigger order from AliExpress. What's your view?
Okay, I love that. So you guys know Bia Hiza? Can you guys give me a thumbs up in the chat, and maybe Connor and Holly can let me know if you guys have heard of him. He's in Sacramento. Bia Hiza. He focuses on this, like drop shipping from AliExpress, ordering a few products, getting them in hand, seeing if they're legit, testing. Maybe he makes his own private label, does his own TikTok ads, and he's really talented. I would recommend following him for that type of advice because that's like his spiel. I should drive up there also and hang out with him and see what he's like because he's like, 20-year-old millionaire. That's like a younger generation type of thing. I feel like because you have to really have the time to do that. And I think that I'm not saying that when you have a family, your life is over, but kind of compared to when you are not held down by the chains of your spouse and kids, you can really go for it. So you sound like a young person. So hopefully it works out for you.
Caleb Brown asks, when do you switch from your garage to a storage unit?
So from when you guys watched my channel in 2017, I did it in my garage. I kind of miss doing that. That was nice. I'd say you transition when you don't want anything at home anymore. So I switched from that into a storage unit that did not have power. And you guys know I used a Yeti generator to bring my own power and lighting kit to run it out of a storage unit when I decided I didn't want to do it at home anymore. And that was basically because my girlfriend at the time was like, don't you get tired of having stuff around your house? And I didn't, but she did. So I moved it separate. So then I've never missed having it at home. So now doing it in the garage or like Shed Flips does it in the shed, I think that's cool because you guys know I was really inspired by Teresa Cox because she's like, I walk out of my house into my eBay shed. And I saw that and I was like, I want an eBay shed. That was like in 2016. I thought that was so cool. So I think you transition out when you when you want a dedicated area. But again, it's stay at home as long as possible. It's more like a luxury to be able to move out.
Karen Sanchez asks, would you publish summer items in winter or should I wait?
I just list everything all year round. It's warm somewhere. It's cold somewhere. I would buy a good pair of shorts right now, even though it's cold here. So it's not always freezing here.
YO Sneaker asks, can you get video games wholesale?
You can, but it's usually $100,000 order or more. So I don't know anyone that's personally done this, but I've seen it. I've seen a bunch of people get together and order wholesale from GameStop. I've heard of that in our group. Also, the largest video game seller in the world is in our group. And you can also ask Jack, who's a seven-figure video game seller, how he sources on Fridays. He might not tell you exactly how he sources, but he can give you an idea.
Elio Mora says, listing 22, selling 10 to 15 a day. Is that okay?
Yes, I like the selling half of what you put up each day. So listing 22, selling 11 would be perfect because, like I said, if you get $10 profit per item, so that would be $111 profit if you sell 11, and the additional 9 items cost $36. You guys see how the differential between 110 and 36, and you can comfortably grow without using your own money. That's my favorite.
Let's see. Jeanette Vega asks, what are the benefits of joining the Patreon?
Okay, so we have 15 category specific calls. So if you sell shoes or media, jewelry, women's clothing, men's clothing, vintage, media, video games, car parts, or you want to join our book club, which is on Monday nights and it's very excellent, or you want to ask me questions personally, Monday through Friday, or you want to ask the greatest reseller of all time any question ever, Tuesday evenings, he does coaching. That's the most valuable part of our call because it's very difficult to have access to a multimillionaire. So you can go in there and ask him any question on any business. He's probably looked into it. He owns 10 businesses and dozens of properties. So, like, most people want to turn reselling income into something more passive like real estate. That's the most valuable part of our group because you can talk to someone who's already done it. So he also lists 250 items a day and does like $5 million a year just in used clothing. So like he has also like number one in the whole bunch of other categories that are really random. So like you can ask him anything about any category and he'll know how to guide you. Our $99 tier is sold out, but that's like a little bit more in depth where you can ask us a more specific question about your business. But I recommend you post that in the Facebook group and you get feedback from over 2,000 people on the best way to approach the next step. So if you want to get to the next level, the main thing is to be really self-aware of where you are at. So like, let's say you want to build a business on postcards or shoes or clothing or whatever. You need a certain setup that's custom to your situation. So that's what you would best utilize the group for. So it's really cheap. If it doesn't work out for you, we'll give you a full refund. And if you get the annual subscription, you actually get the eBay white papers, which Tech and I made as a shortcut to learning all the information in about 20 hours. So it takes about 20 hours to really learn how all these things work together, and I think it's worth the investment. We've actually never given a refund on it, so everyone that signed up for that has found it worth the money.
Shop with Sherry B says, thanks for the masterclass videos. On eBay, if the brand is not in the drop-down list, is it better to put unbranded or enter your own if it is required?
Enter your own. And don't buy it next time.
I'm going to give a shout out to Blood, Sweat, and Cell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, they have a questions too. I have a niche. So this is Blood, Sweat, and Cell.
Yep.
I have a niche and only sell hand tools. They are used. I feel like there's not a lot of people in that category. Any thoughts?
It's tough because they're heavy. So like hand tools are really good to sell locally, and they sell for like $1 or $2 less than Home Depot. Like I am shocked at how hand tools sell for pretty much the same price used as new. I don't get it. In my flea market, more than half the vendors are tool flippers. And I mean, I don't want to step out of my lane here, but I don't know if all these tools are stolen because like I don't know how they get them. So it is because like I've never sold a tool before, so I don't know where all this inventory is coming from. But like it sells for the same price as Home Depot, so I would sell it locally. Hand tools are mind blowing. Also, those Amazon toolkits are pretty amazing. Like if you're just a basic DIY person, you can get a really cool tool set on Amazon for like $70 that has everything. So I recommend everybody pick up one of those for the holidays as well.
Girl on Fire says, super question for non-techie. Is joining your Patreon the way to join your group?
Yes, it's the same thing. So the Patreon is a way to join the group, and inside it is the Facebook group. And one of the things that Tech is maybe not known for is that he owns a computer repair business and also a business that helps old people understand technology. Do you guys have those in your local areas? Because like, I'm not a spring chicken, but like, there's some technology that's like too advanced for me. So I'm not opposed to learning how to catch up, but you need to catch up because we're going to get left behind if we don't really stay ahead of the curve technology wise. So I think that everybody needs to become a little bit of a techie and a little bit of a numbers person. Like, I know people hate their taxes and they hate their numbers and they hate tech, but you need to learn enough to be familiar with exactly how much profit you make on an item and exactly how the algorithms work. So you need to understand how search works, and how search works is the same thing as how location works for a brick and mortar, if that makes sense. So like, if you are paying more money for a space for your retail store that's closer to the parking lot, I feel like that should give you an idea of how promoted listings work. So I think it's really, really important to understand a little bit of tech and a little bit of numbers if you want to be successful reselling. And we'll do two more questions.
Wire Sneaker says, "Can you tell us more about video game sourcing?"
Yes. So, okay. First, follow my friend Jack. His username on Instagram, I'm not joking, is video game source. So like, that's all he does. So if you can literally talk to the goat. We have the goat in the group. So like, he makes seven figures on Amazon sourcing at home. It's amazing. Okay, so like, we have that. I know the guy. So you can follow him on Instagram for free. He also teaches what you're looking for on Fridays in the group. So Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, Jack talks about Amazon and video game sourcing, and his name is Video Game Source. So he also has this insanely good guide that's free on how to sell video games. So shout out to Jack.
Question from Josh: Five
Yep.
things you can claim on taxes that most sellers wouldn't think to
Oh
claim.
my goodness, tax question. So I'm not a CPA. Five things I think the people don't know. I guess number one, a lot of people don't understand cash accounting, which is where you account for the cost of goods of the item up front, versus accrual accounting is where you account for the cost of the good when you sell it. So most people don't understand the difference. So that's number one. That's the biggest one. Number two, I think most people aren't counting their time. So for me personally, I get paid to work at Daily Refinement Inc. So if you think of it that way, then you can, like, two things. You can pay yourself a salary, and that's a really good way to reduce your tax burden if you're making a certain amount, because the way it works here at Daily Refinement Inc. is I own the company, so I get all the money that's left at the end of the day, and my salary I get taxed twice on. This is why being self-employed sucks in a way, because you pay another 18% in self-employment tax. So my salary I get taxed twice on. So most people don't understand they can reduce that burden if they become, I'm talking a lot today, if they become a corporation and take it as a disbursement. So you need to be big enough where that makes sense, but that's number two. Number three would be, there's not that many expenses with reselling. I guess your car, most people know they can write off a certain mileage. I've never done a Section 179 where I write off a 6,000 pound vehicle because you don't need that for reselling. I actually think you need like a Japanese economical car to go thrifting, like a Honda or a Toyota or a van. So you could write off the mileage for that or the whole thing if it's over 6,000 pounds. Again, I'm not a CPA, so just consider this for entertainment. Two other things would be, I guess, shipping supplies, but that should be obvious that you can write that off. And then home office deduction. Ask your CPA what a reasonable amount to write off for your home utilities, your home office. And there's lots and lots and lots of expenses, but it's like five main ones. But appreciate you guys I have a lot of stuff to sell today. So join me on Whatnot. You can use my code to get $15 off your first purchase, and we'll see you guys later.